Hello, welcome back to the YouTube channel of Bethel Evangelical Free Church Hanley. I'm Pastor Gervais Charmley. This is another Staffordshire Churches video. This is the Church of All Saints, formerly St Peter's, King's Bromley, and not to be confused with Abbott's Bromley, which is just up the road in that direction. This is a building that has its origins about 1,000 years ago. Its eldest parts of it are about the time of the Norman Conquest, so we're talking about the middle of the 11th century. We'll see the bits there. Really, it's nothing more than a little part of the south wall, and the rest, as you can see, it's been heightened in the 15th century. Got this nice 15th century roof with clerestory, makes a nice bright building. Unfortunately, the Victorians have taken the plaster off the walls, and while some of the walls are suitable for having the plaster taken off, not all of them are. There's some interesting historic features here, particularly there's a Jacobean pulpit, and we'll see them as we go around, won't we, as usual. So as usual, we start at the back, and you can see we've got a nice 14th century chancel arch. Shame about the plaster being taken off that wall, because that is one of those walls that is not designed to have the plaster taken off. On the other hand, the north wall here is very good, and that kind of stonework can survive having the plaster taken off. At the back, of course, we have the font. The font is dated 1664, and that is very much a 17th century font. It's not just a medieval one that's had a new date cut on it, or a new stem. At 1664, quite often, when you had a Puritan incumbent, they would do as the Puritans did. They say, well, baptism in the big font at the back is superstitious, and so they'd have baptism at the front with a silver basin or something on those lines. Now, this is the original Norman wall here, or Saxo-Norman wall, about 1,000 years old. You can just see there one of the original windows, quite dwarfed by the 14th century windows, and then the 15th century above. Nice 14th century arcade, that's always a good thing to see. And into the north aisle, the only aisle. That's why, of course, there's no clerestory on the north side, because there's an aisle here instead. Lady Chapel, organ behind, common in the 19th century, because these, medieval organs were a lot smaller, basically. These Victorian organs are big, and so they need to put them somewhere, and normally it involves putting them somewhere in front of a window or something. We have here a memorial to Thomas Bannister. 1852. I know that my Redeemer lives. In this window we've got some Flemish glass. This has been brought over, and we've got a nun, a monk, St Elizabeth, and that's St Francis, isn't it, with his halo and with the animals, and bits and pieces, someone's collection. William Charles, King's Bromley, 1841. Again, that sort of style. We've got somebody's carved, symbolic Noah's Ark, shall we say. And here, St Matthew and St Luke. St Mark, rather, in that window. Or symbols thereof. There's a model of the church down there. Piano. Window here with St Oswald and St Chad. St Nicholas, rather. That's definitely St Oswald, Anglo-Saxon, king with his, Northumbrian king with the cross in the background. Eagle lectern, very Victorian. But the pulpit, 1656, so it's not Jacobean, but it's really Cromwellian, isn't it? So it's and up there's the rood stairs come out. Of course, there's no rood screen anymore. And there is that Saxo-Norman window, very small. There had been a row of them high up like that in the wall. And the chancel then is a later addition through this screen, and the screen certainly has 15th century bits to it. So it's a 15th century screen that's been restored. These Linenfeld panels, these are Victorian, but that tracery up there is very definitely very definitely 15th century. In here, well, there we have up the stairs, the organ console, very posh actually. Vestry beyond, of course, but the organist is elevated up there in isolation. Actually, it's not the best place to put the poor organist, because how then do you communicate with him? Well, I suppose he has to listen carefully, or the vicar's going to be down in the stalls down here. There we are, looking west through that screen. As usual, the actual carving is on the nave side. These angels, but they're a bit thin. It's for effect, isn't it? And there we have the grapevines on the pulpit. It's a very nice building. Single aisle. We're not that far from Lichfield here. John Newton, not that one. You see, again, you have all of these memorials, and the reredos is a plain alabaster one. There's nothing carved on it, that is. East window, Christ the light of the world, after Holman Hunt, with the Virgin Mary and St John the Evangelist. Another Newton, Samuel Newton, and clearly they are the big family here. We have the here Captain George Ronald Lane, Adjutant 2nd Battalion Coldstream Guards, killed in action 13th September 1916, Battle of the Somme, an only child of Major General Sir Ronald B. Lane and Lady Lane. And then above is that's the cross that would have marked his grave in Flanders Fields. Has been brought back here. So yes, very grand here. It's funny putting the organist up there, but to each their own, I suppose. And back so again, but here at least you've got the stonework's quite good, although it clearly has been plastered, because it all was in the Middle Ages. They didn't have this idea back then, oh, we need to have exposed stone, because actually what they wanted was lots and lots of colour in the Middle Ages, whereas the Victorians kind of inherit these buildings that are less colourful. They're whitewashed, and the Victorians just make them even less colourful in terms of taking all the plaster off and making them actually quite a bit gloomy on the inside, and showing this stonework was always supposed to be plastered. But there we are. The roof has been restored, but it is still that 15th century pitch. So that is the inside here at King's Bromley, and again that nice arcade and that really good Puritan type pulpit. So that's the inside. Go back, and here we have very much this Saxo-Norman stonework. There's the font at the back, so we'll go outside next and have a look around there. And so here we are outside at King's Bromley. You can see behind me you've got this nice tower with it's largely 14th century, but 15th century with well, you've got that nave, and that's got the original Saxo-Norman church, and then you've got this chancel here, which is 13th, 14th century. So, and that porch is 19th century, but it's in a sort of Tudor style. It's quite an interesting building and quite pleasant to look at. It's important to have these places look nice to look at on the outside. So we'll have a look around and point out some of the more interesting features. Start out here, of course, to get the whole thing in, because it's kind of important to do that, to get a good idea of the whole building. What we'll do is we'll go around the west end, because the most interesting bit is this contrast in stonework between the chancel and the nave, and also between the original Saxo-Norman church and the clerestory. You can just see there that little Norman window in there, and got all this tile in there. Now this is Roman tile, and that indicates it's probably a Roman villa has been demolished around here, and then this clerestory has been put in with its gargoyles. We have here what's called a scratch dial, and I think this is a type of sundial that you'd use to work out the times for the masses. There's that window, and you see it's got a tile sort of strip course over the top, and all this Roman material being salvaged. And then this port was added in the 19th century. It was a very good example, and pinnacles and everything. The cross, this has been restored, but clearly is the base. That's the original medieval churchyard cross. And that tower, 14th, 15th century, top bit again, gargoyles on the corners. These things are very interesting. Porch. And go round the north side. There's a main road fairly close to here, so we may hear it making main road noises. West door. This would be a processional entrance, of course it's not used anymore, and clearly can't be. Now it's permanently shut. The aisle, you can see there's a mark of an earlier smaller aisle down there, quite possibly. Telling me it's 4:30, so I need to. Is it 15:15? No, 15:15. That's fine. You can see there the Victorians have put this vestry organ chamber on. Very nice 14th century north doorway there. They haven't retained the Norman one. They've added this very nice one with its little OG canopy. Very good. The shed, of course, you need to have a shed to keep things in. And yes, vestry organ chamber. We saw how you get into there. It's a very big graveyard with some important burials in it. And around the outside, just trying to get out far enough to get a proper view of the yeah, here we go, proper view of the north side. In this case the north side is very interesting because you've got all these different roof levels and different structures. Often the north sides are duller, but not here, because you've got that nice doorway, and then you've got this big Victorian thing, and then you've got the porch. You've got the chancel rather, and the shed. Because you need a shed, they're quite practical. You can see there how the roof line is interesting in terms of how the nave and the aisle kind of interact with each other and kind of don't. As I said, we're fairly in a Lichfield here. There's quite a bit of money around, and often the clergy here would be connected with the cathedral, Middle Ages, and then afterwards as well. So we're coming back round to where we started off, going around the outside. So there's the east end, that big window, and there's the churchyard cross. And they've cleared this part of the churchyard a bit. This is called the older part of the churchyard. So there we have it. That is the church here at King's Bromley. So King's Bromley. Why King's Bromley? Well, probably because the living here would be in the gift of the king, as opposed to Abbott's Bromley, where the living would be in the gift of the abbot of one of the local abbeys. Now, not Lichfield. Lichfield wasn't an abbey. Lichfield was a cathedral with a staff of canons, and that's why at the Reformation Lichfield is kept to the cathedral, and Coventry Cathedral, which was monastic, is demolished. That's not the current Coventry Cathedral, or the one that was destroyed in the Second World War. That is the medieval one, which was destroyed at the Reformation because they wanted to get rid of the monks. Well, here we are, King's Bromley. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I've enjoyed making it. A bit of a whistle-stop tour. I don't want to go too long here, but it's a lovely building. So thank you for watching, and may God bless you and keep you until next time.